So yet again, this current arc of Black Clover continues to catch us all off guard and remain out of pocket entirely. This is a series that actually emphasizes its side characters, and if nothing else, these Dark Triad fights have proven just that. With the previous chapter, we had the ever-ominous emergence of Megecula, the devilish matron of all curses. And listen, this thing had no business being here, as only a single gate to the underworld had been opened thus far. But Megecula here seems to have the curse of Black Air Force energy as well, as to her, the gate was nothing more than insurance. All along, she had always intended to manifest in this way, through her curse magic, Malevolent Femcantation. Now, femcantation is certainly a made-up word, a combination of female and cantation or incantation, so a spell constituted by females specifically. So pretty much whereas Lucifero and the other high-ranking devils intend to use the door properly, Megecula is chaotic enough to jump through the closest window available. And this window is one that she has been prepping to break through for well over a decade at this point. The death of Noelle's mother gave way for this partial manifestation of hers, whereas the deaths of Lolopechka and Vanica would finally allow her to return in her full glory. And just out of sheer wickedness, she additionally decided to transform Lolopechka into a devil for her final moments. Now from here, the likes of Noelle, Rill, and Charlotte would now attempt to resist and fight back, but they were done for as their magic would easily be negated by Megecula's decaying world. Now at the same time, Gaja was facing off against his now devil of a queen, Lolopechka, and her abyssal hydra magic. With his incredible true lightning magic, Gaja would impressively evade her attacks. Now remembering his true reason for fighting and his desire to become the strongest in the Heart Kingdom as to take the place of his ever-kind queen in such unsavory matters. And despite the ability to harm her here, in seeing her, he simply could not bring himself to do it and would instead be impaled by her enlarged hand. Meanwhile, Noelle would lose her spirit dive form as Megecula was all but certain of her own victory at this point. And this latest chapter would pick up right from there as Megecula would continue her verbal lashings. As far as she was concerned, without Saint Stage, they had no way of stopping her. And even if Noelle was capable of doing so, it's not like they would ever reach her anyways. And that's because she had terrain advantage considering her decaying world spell had at this point entirely suffused the environment. And she would continue to say that nobody would be able to save her, as even if they could reach her, they would be rendered just as helpless. And at that, these high-ranking devils are really full of themselves, aren't they? Clearly, arcane stage mages are a bunch of wildcards, so this confidence is to me a bit misguided considering she's already encountered a number of potential countermeasures to her power. From Nero and her sealing, to Charlotte and her roses, or most recently Noelle with her spirit magic. Truly, all it would take is for Asta to pull up, assuming he'd be able to transform at this point, and it would be wraps for her. But also, I don't really want Asta to come here. I don't want him to get involved until after this match is settled, because this is Noelle's fight. This is Noelle's opponent. The stakes are too high for her here, and she's not the sort of typical heroine character in a shonen. She does not need the main character, the main lead, to come and save her. But yeah, Megecula was really confident in her own victory and was just about ready to close things out, thanking Noelle for all the fun. Which just goes to show how compatible she and Vanica really were if she's considering this all fun and is thinking about how to make things more enjoyable for others as well. She is surely wicked and sees others as playthings and nothing more. But just then we would have a crackle of lightning be extended from the hand of Gaja and make its way to Noelle. This would cause her no harm, but was done as he was impaled by his queen. Noelle would turn around to him as the blood would run from his mouth and he would slightly smile, along with a distorted speech bubble. So with this, it seems that Gaja was able to communicate something to Noelle here, a sort of magical messaging delivered directly to Noelle's mind. Something that I presume Undyne was able to perceive as well, judging from her appearance. And judging from Noelle's reaction to this, tightening her lips and tightening her fist, this was not something positive at all, but was something that could not be argued against. And from here, Gaja would put his hands around the head of his queen and promise her that what he was about to do would not hurt her, but he would also ask her for forgiveness. This was Lightning Magic Pulsaranta, a spell that seemed to paralyze her for a moment. Just enough time for him to remove himself from her clutches and move elsewhere. And oh man, visually, how he moved past her, and all you could see from her were those bloody tears. Oh man, you already know what's going on here, and it hurts so bad. Again, Gaja would think to himself of his dedication to destroying the Heart Kingdom's enemies in Lolopechka's stead. He would protect the country himself. However, even despite these convictions, he did in fact fail to protect his queen during Vanaka's first attack, and she was subsequently cursed. After the fact, he would demean himself for his incompetence to her, but Lolopechka would not be so hard on him and would instead thank him, as because of him, nobody in the kingdom was hurt. But that's just the thing, it was because he tried so hard to protect the citizens and the country itself that she was subjected to such a fate and a current state, forced against her will to bring pain to others, something that she never desired. And in thinking of all this, Gaja believes himself to be unfit to be a spirit guardian, simply because, more than the very kingdom itself, what he truly desired to protect was Lolopechka. And with that, my heart hurts, man. He really loves her and has to see her end up like this. And at that, the devils in this story are truly devilish. They are very cruel beings. They have negatively impacted so many lives so severely, and it is just so compelling to read. But yeah, Gaja would not allow them to kill Lolopechka, and he would also not allow her to kill either, and so he could not die from this wound that she had given him. He intended to convert his very life into magical power and eliminate the devil who had caused all this suffering, as he would in a flash make it to Megekula. And this time, he would save his queen. This was Ultimate Lightning Magic, Apocalypra Astauza. And this spell was crazy. Oh my goodness, they just straight up obliterated Megekula. Decaying was not even erasing it entirely, which is to say that Decaying World was already lessening the power here. So could you imagine if it was not there at all? And here, as Megekula is being blown away, we can see her heart remain intact, very much like how Zagreed was back during the elf invasion arc. So with that, I certainly don't think that she is completely destroyed, but she is in a vulnerable state right now that requires a moment of recovery. Pretty much the opening or opportunity they might need to actually take her down. And additionally, taking a look back at that initial blast, we may have a case where this impacts Megekula and not Vanaka. Something that we know Ultimate Magic can actually do, designate a specific target, and whether or not someone else is caught in the crossfires, they will not be impacted, only the designated target. But yeah, that blast was major and straight up pierced through the wall and beyond the entirety of the Spade Kingdom here. In response to this, Noelle would get back up on her feet and rush inwards. She would call upon what little magic she could wield in this space, as even if it was weak, all she needed was just enough Saint Stage magic to pierce this exposed heart, and it would be their victory. But it was then that she would shriek back in horror, as beyond Gaja and the dust remaining in the air, there was the alarming figure of Megekula, seemingly having shifted to some degree, as we would then receive a close-up on a now charred and ruined Gaja, and that was the chapter. What a noble sacrifice, man. Gaja is by no means a main character of the story, but my respect for him is there all the same. He really did the damn thing, and even then, it looks like it was not enough, unfortunately. This Megekula fight continues to be a demoralizing one. Even when we have our ups, she always takes us back down. But it is very clear to me that with the next chapter, chapter 300 of the story, oh my goodness, we are in for a real treat for sure. I just really hope that Gaja's sacrifice here wasn't done in vain. And I also hope that you will subscribe to Plot Armor with notifications on to be here for the next one. And you can always interact with us over on Twitter and Instagram at PlotArmorYT while you're at it as well, because when it comes to bringing you some of the best Black Clover content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I'm Sliceable Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.